Welcome, Williams families. It's great to see you. Thanks for joining us for the career talk on the career panel. Louder. There we go. Thank you. Again, it's great to have you all back on campus. It truly is. You don't know how much it means to see all of you. We are as happy to have you on campus as you are to be here on campus. So again, my name is Sean McGrath. I'm the director of the Parents Fund and Athletics Giving at Williams. If you're not sure what that means, I have the pleasure of working with all of you who make these amazing students that make Williams so special. So you'll hear from the Parents Fund and myself throughout the course of the year. It supports many of the great programs that make Williams so special, including the Career Center, which we're going to hear about today. So I hope you'll consider participating throughout the course of the year. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce our co-chair of the Parents Fund Committee, Charlotte Kingham.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I know it's a wee bit chilly out here. So on behalf of my co-chair, Samantha Cohen, who is sitting in the audience right there, and our entire Parents Fund team, it's my pleasure to welcome everyone to today's career panel discussion. We're so glad you have joined us. Before we begin today's presentation, just a brief word about the Parents Fund. As Sean noted, you will be hearing from us throughout the year about the important and varied ways in which the Parents Fund supports the college and our students. And it's because of this culture of generosity, a tradition that dates back to 1821, that Williams is able to offer a world-class faculty in both teaching and research, a low student-faculty ratio, myriad academic, athletic, and social opportunities, top-notch health and wellness programs, and, as you will hear today, the great resources of the 68 Center for Career Exploration. Each year, parents are invited to honor this philanthropic tradition by making their own gifts to the Parents Fund. Approximately 60 families also volunteer to serve on the Parents Fund Committee, engaging with families and helping to build community. As the parent of two EIFs and a longstanding member of the Parents Fund Committee, I can speak from personal experience when I tell you that participation in the Parents Fund is a great way to enrich your own Williams experience. So we hope that you will consider joining over 1,000 of your fellow EIF families in supporting this year's Parents Fund. Please feel free to reach out to me, to my co-chair Samantha, or to Sean, should you have any questions about our work or wish to consider joining our team. So before I introduce the panel, I just want to point out that we have a standing microphone in the center aisle there. So after we hear from our panelists, we'll have about 30 minutes for questions. So if you'd like to ask a question, just please feel free to line up by the microphones. So we are pleased to have with us today Anthony Pernell-McGee, who is Director of Inclusive Career Exploration at the 68 Center, and Leigh Sylvia, the Center's Director of Operations and External Relations. In his role at the Career Center, Anthony advises students who are interested in careers with social impact. He also serves as the Center's Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Liaison, working with BIPOC and first-generation students, and is the Center's pre-law advisor. Leigh oversees the Center's Operations and External Relations team, which includes employer relations, the Student Internship Program, and the very popular EIF-Link mentoring community. Anthony and Leigh are joined today by our three terrific and very busy student panelists, Abdu Donka, who is at the end, Sunny Hu, and Essence Perry. Abdu is a senior majoring in history. He is a member of the cycling team, and his favorite course thus far has been Zen and the Art of American Literature. Abdu's summer internships have included Bank of America, Cushman & Wakefield, and Bain & Company. Upon graduation, Abdu will be joining Bain's New York office as an associate consultant. Sunny Hu is a second-year student planning to double major in American Studies and Women's Gender and Sexuality Studies. Her favorite class thus far has been Introduction to Asian American Studies. Sunny is co-chair of the college's Chinese American Students Organization, a social impact peer advisor at the Career Center, and she has interned at Project Rousseau, a nonprofit organization empowering students in need, and she has worked at the Davis Center and at CLIA this past summer. And Essence is a senior majoring in economics. At Williams, she has participated in the College Dems group, works for the Career Center, is student chair of the Committee on Community and Diversity, and in her spare time has started a podcast. Her favorite course thus far has been Sexual Economies. Essence has interned at the Clean Water Action Group, worked as a research assistant for a Williams professor, and interned at Bain & Company. Following graduation, Essence will join Bain as an associate consultant in their Boston office. So welcome to our busy and accomplished panelists, and take it away, Leigh and Anthony.
Thank you so much. Good to see everyone this afternoon. So I figured where I'd start would be to give you sort of an overview of the services and the resources that we offer Williams students, to give you a kind of a heads up, and that will sort of preview probably more of the things that you're going to hear about from the other panelists. To start, I really did want to start with quoting our mission, because it really is a foundational baseline for everything that we do. So our mission at the 68 Center is to prepare Williams students to explore and pursue their goals through comprehensive, individualized career education. We encourage all students to discover their interests, skills, and values so they can lead fulfilling and impactful lives. And again, this is something that we really genuinely believe, and it supports all of the work that we do. And this is something that we start from day one when students get to Williams. We want all students to feel that the Career Center is a place that they can go no matter where they are in their career exploration or self-discovery journey when it comes to planning for life during and after Williams. So as far as some of the things that we offer in our office, one of the core foundational things is one-on-one advising appointments, which my colleague Anthony will speak to a little bit more. As far as our career education team is concerned, they organize programming and things as well for our students, but the one-on-one interaction is really core to the work that we do. As far as other things, experiential learning opportunities. So opportunities for students to physically, say, be in the workspace, either through career treks that we've done. This year they were more virtual, but taking students to physical spaces, traveling outside of Williamstown to meet employers, often many which of alums, to learn about different industries and career options. We also do meetups, career meetups that are broken down by industry as well for students to get acquainted with what options they might have for during and after Williams. In addition to sort of these experiential learning opportunities, we also have funding programs through our office. So if students are, say, secure unpaid internships or are actually just looking to secure funds for, say, career-related activities such as traveling to interviews or things along those lines, they can actually apply for funding through our office as well. And last but certainly not least, we also have sort of our main core platforms, software platforms that we use in our office to really help students build relationships with employers and alumni. So those two things include our Handshake platform, and that's really where students, that's like their one-stop shop for if they're everything from, say, scheduling appointments with our advisors, but also learning about the variety of career events that we have happening in our office, whether they're career education skill building workshops led by our advising team or employer info sessions where employers come and sort of share a little bit about their industries. But that's also where students can apply to jobs and internships. And then in addition to that is our eFlink platform, which was mentioned, and that's our mentoring community where students and alums can build relationships and connect with each other and talk about, their experiences at Williams and after Williams and can connect via industry or identity interest and build those relationships and learn more about what opportunities could look like for students. And so that's kind of an overview, and that's really high level because it feels like there's so much that's happening out of our office on the day-to-day. But I'll turn it over to my colleague, Anthony, who'll talk a little bit more to the career education and career community element.
Thank you, Leigh. Welcome to Family Day. So how do we prepare your students to find that career that is meaningful and impactful. So we have various programs. At the Career Center, we use a career community model. So each advisor has their own career community model. And this allows for the student to access the webpage platform to access the resources and the services from each of the career communities. Our philosophy is that the students should explore, explore, explore. And by the time that they become a senior, they should have a good understanding where they're going to begin their career. So how does a student explore at Williams? We have internships where the students can obtain an internship during the summer under the ASIP program, or they can obtain a winter study internship under Spec 21. In addition to the internships, we also have a job shadow program, which is on eFlink. This allows students to contact an alum and to shadow that alum at his or her employment for one day. In addition to the job shadow and the internship, we also have career tracks. Each year we take a bunch of students to various cities to explore careers. For example, I took students to New York City and DC on the International and Foreign Affairs career track, where they met alums at the State Department and various other organizations. In addition to the career tracks, we have a series of alumni panels where alums will come on campus and to talk about their career journey and provide the students with those critical skills that are needed for that particular career. In addition to that, we allow our students to conduct informational interviews with alums, which is a reverse interview where they are asking the alum about their career journey, about their graduate school programs, and their day-to-day activities on their job. So our goal is to allow them to explore, and to provide them with the resources and the services to help them do that exploration. I have the honor to work with the BIPOC students in Williams First. I'm a first-gen student as well, and so I do lots of programming with the Dean's Office to provide that extra support for BIPOC students in Williams First. So it's an honor to work with those students. And then I serve as the pre-law advisor, and I advise students and alums about law school and legal careers. So I'll be happy to answer any questions later on in the programming. I'm going to pass it on to Essence. Essence is our peer advisor. We met when she was a sophomore. She's been with us for the past 2 years. She's graduating this year. But she's an awesome person, and she's going to share her experience as a student and as a peer advisor in our office.
Thank you. So despite my title after graduation, I would like to say that I definitely did not think I was going to go into consulting, and I still don't know what I want to do when I grow up. But that's all to say that I do have a goal of wanting to do social justice work, specifically criminal justice reform and anti-poverty work. But I didn't know how I wanted to do that. And so my only goal for my 4 years were to do something in a different industry every summer. So my first summer, I did academic research, and I worked with a professor here who was doing really interesting research on sex work and sex trafficking and some of the misnomers that lead to really bad policy. And I took a class in my freshman year, and I thought, wow, this is a population of people that I didn't even consider who would benefit the most from criminal justice reform. And it was a really awesome experience, but also extremely frustrating experience because him, along with so many other professors, had amazing policy solutions for how to reform criminal justice, but no one listened. And that was really frustrating for me. So I said, okay, I'll do policy work the next summer. I'll do a nonprofit. And I worked with Clean Water Action, which is kind of an intersectional environmental justice nonprofit all around the country, but I worked in the Boston branch. And that was super rewarding. It was amazing people. They did a lot of grassroots advocacy, which is something I had never experienced before, but also extremely frustrating because they spent so much time trying to convince people about solutions that made sense. And I thought, okay, that's not maximizing my impact. Time to go to business. which I'm not to say that that's the solution to everything, but this summer I worked at Bain, and I realized that being in the private sector allows you to be a lot more streamlined in your thinking, and people like suddenly believe you because you have the title consultant over something else. And and I realized it was a good stepping stone to the next whatever thing that I do. And that's all to say, like, you don't need to know what you want to do. And like the goal of Williams is not to find the thing that you're going to do for the rest of your life. In fact, I argue that you probably never will find out what you want to do for the rest of your life. But you get enough skills here to figure out, like, to keep fine-tuning what you're good at and what you're not good at in a way that allows you to maximize your impact in whatever that is. And so I felt like throughout my time here, I got to work with really amazing people. I'm a low-income student, so like Williams funded all of these explorations, which was so much thank yous to whoever is doing that. And I think even more importantly, it's kind of empowering to know that if you I became an econ major last year. I was like a random philosophy, poli-sci, widgets, whatever major. And I felt like no matter what the major that I was doing, I had enough skills to be extremely useful. And I think that's true for most Williams students. They think like nothing that they're doing will be helpful in the real world, but in reality, you're always an asset in the room. And I felt like no matter what internship I was doing, I was extremely useful in that room. And I think that's empowering. So I encourage you to like try something, even if you don't know what it is. And if you don't know, it's the final thing you'll be doing. Pass it on to Sunny.
Hi everyone, my name is Sunny, and very similar to Essence, I would describe like my personal career exploration in 2 words. One, it's definitely a learning curve, and the second is that it's definitely a work in progress. And basically coming into freshman year, I was pretty certain that I wanted to go to law school. But then throughout the year, after taking 2 extremely inspirational courses, which is Introduction to Asian American Studies with Professor Jan Patios and Introduction to Women's Studies with Professor Kelly Chung, I realized that I wanted to do a lot of work with these communities, such as the Asian American Pacific Islander community, and a lot of issues related to women. And so with that, I wanted to really work more hands-on with communities. And that's why when it was in the winter time, I was really perusing through Handshake and eFlink and trying to find any opportunities I could to work with a nonprofit organization. And in the end, I became an intern at Project Rousseau, which was a really helpful nonprofit organization where I got to work with a lot of low-income students in New York City and also a lot of indigenous students on different reservations across America. And it was really cool because like my supervisor, she was very like flexible and was like, you can do whatever you want. And I was told her like, I'm really passionate about women's rights and like definitely something I need to learn more about. And then she told me the idea of like, maybe you should lead a student consultancy group. And so basically for a really good portion of my internship, I worked with a group of around like 6 students and was able to teach them about the missing and murdered Indigenous women's movement, which is really powerful. And even some of these students were Indigenous themselves, so it was very helpful to hear their own personal experiences. And since like I'm coming from someone who is not Indigenous and not particularly related to the issue, so it was just really eye-opening. And like even now, like to like that experience, I'm trying to like have experience with Indigenous women's movement in classes. Like right now I'm taking an American Studies course about Indigenous feminism. So it's just really cool how like when you're like off campus and your internships, it can really inspire you of what you want to do in classes. And so basically with that, like after my internship experience, I was like, like what am I going to do for the summer? And I did take a really long time to see what I really wanted to do. And then I saw that like there was like on our daily messages that the Davis Center and CLEA, which stands for Center for Learning and Action, they were having their summer fellow program. So in the end, I applied for that. And this summer, I was really able to work something more personal. I created a podcast episode about an Asian American actress who has basically been invisible and has not been recognized for her work in the 1920s. So it was really powerful to kind of develop my own research progress and to really just spend the summer doing my own work, and that was really rewarding. And basically the question is, how was I able to get to this point? I would really like to thank the Career Center because first off, if I did not know about Handshake or eFlink, I never would have found any of these internship experiences. So very thankful to that. And also like on eFlink that I've learned as a peer career advisor is that we are always constantly posting so many opportunities in the eFlink groups. There are a lot of different groups for like students of color, for women, for LGBTQ community. And I would just really say to look forward to that. Like we always are always posting about jobs and about like any like law school information session. So I would say that's a really good resource for students to always just keep an eye out for. And I think that the most important thing that I've gotten from last year was definitely being able to make appointments with the career advisors. Like there's so many for all the different treks that you are curious about or you want to pursue. Like last year, like starting out as a freshman, I had no clue how to have a college resume or even how to start on writing a cover letter. And so I was able to really create an appointment with one of the advisors and really be able to refine my resume and basically learn how to write a cover letter. And there's also really helpful like guides on our Career Center website with like templates and like anything you need, super helpful. And I really would like to thank Anthony because like last year I was able to set an appointment with him and did a mock interview before the internship that I actually was able to intern at. And it was super helpful because he comes from a position where he knows what the nonprofit organization is looking for in an intern. So I think that definitely without that appointment experience, I would not have been able to get an internship experience. So definitely, as I said in the beginning, my career exploration progress is definitely something I need to work on. Definitely, I have no clue what I want to do, but I know that in the next 2 years, like there's definitely going to be so much room where I can always just explore and always rely on the Career Center. Thank you.
Hey everyone, I'm Abdu. I'm a senior at Williams, majoring in history. And so reflecting upon my couple of years at Williams, the Career Center has been instrumental in my career journey. And similar to the other panelists, it's kind of been long and winding. Like coming into college, I did not know what I wanted to do. I just had an idea that I wanted to do something related to business. And I also came from like a first generation background, so I wasn't familiar with consulting or any of other finance industries. And so starting off freshman year and sophomore year, I would always go to the Career Center, get their help with like editing my resume or editing my cover letter. And Robin, who's a business career advisor, is someone who I'd meet with often. And so from there, I was able to apply to a lot of career exploratory programs and kind of learn more about different fields, whether in different fields of business. And so she was extremely helpful throughout the entire process, letting me know about like what are some different programs that I could apply to, and also making sure that my applications were ready for those programs. And then, doing my internships over the past couple summers, I kind of was able to realize what I liked and what I didn't like about different fields of business. So I first interned in commercial real estate, which was interesting, but I just found out that I would want something a bit more focused on whether it's like working with companies or working with markets. And so I tried to shift to investment banking, but I realized I didn't really like the kind of motto of investment banking of kind of working by yourself. I really like kind of team-focused engagement and getting to know others on like a deeper level. So that's why I kind of switched to consulting in terms of it's an environment where I'd be able to work with a team of 5 to 7 people over a course of a project and really delve deep into business problems that are complex and engaging, while also developing close relationships with them and mentorships. And so thinking about kind of my overall kind of trajectory at Williams, I think it couldn't have been possible at a different school, primarily because of the small supportive network that's available here, and particularly the alumni network. I've talked with a lot of alums over the past couple of years about everything, like learning about different career paths, talking about and getting their advice about majors. And, one of the biggest gems of advice I got from alums was just to study what you love in college and then gain skills and experiences from your internships or experiences on campus. And so those alumni relationships were instrumental in providing me some sort of guidance on my career journey. And so personally, I think also like the student culture at Williams is also geared towards mentorship and towards like helping each other out. So when it came to recruiting for whether it was investment banking or consulting or even commercial real estate, a lot of people were always available and helpful, especially older students, to help me with interview prep, to give me mock interviews, and particularly the Career Center also has this built in with peer advisors. So this year I'm a peer advisor for consulting recruiting, and so I help people run cases and kind of get polished up with behavioral stuff as well. So I think Williams and the Career Center position liberal arts students in a great way to succeed in this like new work environment, and I don't think it's like I haven't seen it as replicated in other schools. I haven't seen an environment where students are able to help each other out, kind of geared towards mentorship, and also an alumni network that's so tight knit, where a freshman who has no idea what he wants to do is able to talk with them for 30 minutes and just pick their brain about anything. So, thank you.
And so I think now we're opening up to questions from you all. If anyone has them, you can go to the microphones in the middle and the center there. This is also when we can do our choreographed dance that we planned beforehand. Anthony, did you bring the ribbons?
I did not.
Hi, so I'm a freshman student, and I know that the general advice that we've been given is like, oh, your major isn't indicative of what you want to do in the future and things like that. But I guess personally, I still feel like there's a certain impact that you get from your major that leads into what you want to do as a career in the future. And so for the panelists up there who have had experience with, their major and now having a future career, how is your relationship between the two?
I'm not really sure what you're interested in, but if it's Div 3, I have no advice there. But if it's not, cool. I'd say don't approach it as one major will provide you all the information that you need to know. That's false. Whoever tells you that, they're lying to you. What's helpful is having a certain amount of types of skills. So perhaps taking an intro-level econ course, taking stats, taking things that give you both analytical skills and also writing skills, and that's generally the advice. Can you communicate effectively? Can you do basic analytical reasoning? Can you basically convince someone with logic, mathematical evidence and writing evidence of your point? And any kind of classes that help you do that, that's the more helpful part than being an econ major or being a math major or being a widgets major. That's not the important part. It's the skills that underlie those majors, which you can get from a variety of courses.
Yeah, I'd say I agree with everything that Essen said. And also for me, for my own personal experiences, when I came here as a freshman, I was really undecided about what I wanted to major in. I first started off thinking I wanted to do comp sci or econ. And then sophomore year, I kind of switched to humanities with sociology and history. But in my own experiences, I've seen that major, especially coming from a liberal arts background, does not really factor much into what type of career choices you'd want to make in the future. For example, there are people I was working with this past summer at Bain who majored in chemistry, and that's not really business related at all. So you can really major in. I think one of the best things about liberal arts colleges is that you can really major in whatever you want and kind of just use the different skills you gained through internships or specific classes to kind of leverage that and to get future opportunities. And honestly, my own personal perspective is, you're only in college once, so you want to enjoy what you study. And so that's something I've taken to heart because you won't be in a learning environment like this again.
The only thing that I'm going to add is that there are 7 core competency that you will obtain by having a degree from Williams. And those 7 core competencies are what the employers are looking for. So critical thinking, communication skills, technology, being able to work on a team with other people, culture diversity, or competency is really important as well when you're working in a global market. So when you graduate from Williams, you will have all the core skills to be very successful in any career that you pursue.
Did you have a question?
Yeah, I'm curious, either the administrators or the students could comment on thoughts about how early career choices impact or may be impacted by thoughts about pursuing graduate school at some point down the road, how those two things dovetail together or diverge.
I would start. Okay. I would start the discussion or the answer. I think it's important. I advise alums and students for law school. I think it's important for students to work first in the workforce for at least a couple years. This will allow them to assess what is needed to advance their career. So if you work for 2 years and then go to graduate school, then you'll be more successful. I've known graduates who have 2 or 3 masters, which means that they did not take time out to work for 2 or 3 years before going to graduate school. So I try to encourage students to at least work for 2 years and then decide what graduate degree is going to advance your career.
Yeah, and I think just to dovetail into that too, like statistically speaking, I mean, on a given year, like looking at our graduating classes, like sometimes we see anywhere from like 10% to like last year, 14.5% of the graduating class chose to go on to continue their education. And I think that had a lot to do also to the circumstances that we were in at that point. And we had about 10% of the class that had lost jobs due to COVID. And so I think that also weighed into some decisions that people were making. And so it also does kind of vary as far as sort of that first, as far as the year and that being the first choice right after Williams. Any other questions?
Hi. I am a parent of a freshman. I was just curious, is the alumni network in effect just for the first job, or is it more of a lifelong type network? Like, how does that work in terms of maintaining those connections? Thank you.
Yeah, so are you asking specifically to, let's say, like EFLink, we were talking about the alumni community? Yeah,
I think so. And then maybe just culturally, like, is there, sort of a lasting, cultural assumption that will be the case, or not so much? Does it start to die out?
Oh, I would say yes. So I am not an alum of Williams, and I will say that when I was just amazed when starting working here at just the dedication of Williams more than any other institution I've worked at. And I've worked at small, large, variety of types of colleges. And I will say that the lifelong connection to Williams is very well present. And I think the students, panelists could even speak to just with the alumni conversations that they've had, just really how much Essence and I were just talking about, her job after Williams, and the fact that there are a number of alums that work there and immediately were commenting on posts that she had made on campus and just acknowledging memories that they had here. So I think the dedication to this institution is so impressive, and it goes a really long way. So as far as the physical space of like the EFLink community, so yes, that was really created with the intention to have a space for, if so, every single student, which we have about 90% of the current population is already actively enrolled on there. Every single student and every single alum, if they chose to have a space to find each other and connect with each other. And I will say, sort of continuing to add to the question, to answer the question, is that so it is a student and alumni connection space, but also an alumni to alumni connection space. So for students can continue to utilize that long after Williams. We have a number of alums that are on there say that if they've considered career changes and are looking to, connect with people in new fields to learn more about opportunities. So the intention is that it is a lifelong experience and community.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Sure.
I'd also kind of like to add on, given earlier I had talked about my own experiences with the Alumni Network, and there are people who I talked with like freshman year who I still keep in touch with, letting them know about like stuff going on in my life, whether professionally or academically or even personally. So I think the Alumni Network at Williams is exceptionally strong, and they're honestly people who you can consider mentors for a very, very long time. And also, like, I think there's something to say about like the power of a .edu email address, that Williams alums and even just people in general are extremely responsive to college students, especially freshmen and underclassmen. So, and you could pick alumni's brains about anything. It doesn't have to be about a necessary job or like you're applying for a role at their company. It could be about just like a field that you're interested in learning more about, and you'd like to hear about their experiences in it as well.
Just to add on to Abdu, I think it's extremely incredible that like when my work as a peer career advisor, which contains a lot of like reaching out to alums, searching alums for a lot of like the different career tracks or the different panels are happening, I think it's just so amazing that all the alums are super willing to come back and basically to share their experiences with the students. Like last year as a first year, I was just so surprised that like even during like the winter break, it was like 2 months we were away from school. There were so many different opportunities that you could have had to like connect with alums. And I personally have a friend, like I remember last year he was telling me about like eFlink and how like he's a pre-med student and was like super anxious about like what classes he needs to take and just being really overwhelmed, but he was able to reach out to a lot of alums who have like his similar interests, and they were really able to give him the advice. And like I think like now he feels a little bit better. So it's just like I think it's just like hearing from students and just looking about the events that Williams has is really incredible.
One last chance before I close it out. Any other questions? And before I close it out, I do want to say one of our EVEs is a 2018 graduate, and I just want to respond to that question and just say the power of the Williams Network is amazing as they graduate, and she is now in graduate school, and she did the requisite 2 years work, and it's just been amazing how that community is just always there, and she's so happy to be part of it, and it's had wonderful conversations. So. Well, thank you. Thank you for joining us, and I particularly want to thank our wonderful panel for coming out today, to have Leigh and Anthony and Essence and Sunny and Abdu. Thank you so much. And I know we have a gift for our 3 student panelists when I find Sean. Oh, Sean has a gift to deliver. Thank you so much for sharing all of your insights and experiences with us. And for those of you here, at 2:30, I believe, there will be student performances starting. I think 14 different kinds of student groups will be performing, so you may want to stick around. So thank you for joining us. Thank you so much.
Okay.